Friday, September the 8th, 2023, and after a 2-week hiatus, once again caused by the railway strikes, it never ends, does it? I'm down in Lewes, East Sussex, about to undertake a walk I last did in, I think it was January 2011. This is Lewes to what is now called Saltdean. When I did it originally, it was a Lewes Circular via Rodmell, and today that is the version I will be doing to maintain continuity. The Saltdean version is a bit odd because it ends in the middle of nowhere in terms of transport, so you've either got to walk into Brighton or get a bus or something of that ilk. Got a cracking day today to undertake this 10 miler approx. Currently around 28 degrees and due to get even hotter, so yeah, and with the height involved could be quite draining. Anyway, book 2, walk 26. Let's crack on and see what awaits. There's hardly any breeze today, I would add. What there is currently coming from the east northeast, due to get into the southwesterly position later today, which is why we've got some rain possibly due overnight into tomorrow, but not today. It's about 11:30 now. Should be done by around 5, I would hope. Let's crack on. Looks like the castle just over there as I come out of the station. And the downs in the distance there. Now entering these gardens, which I recall. Yeah, I do recall this section. Believe that to be South Over House there. Very pleasant selection of flowers in here, and quite a lot of people as well. As I've commented on previous walks, there's a lot more people milling around these days, which I wouldn't previously have encountered on weekday walks. It is possible to get an early coffee in these gardens as well, in that South Over House that I previously filmed. Do a right shortly towards Anna Cleeve's house. Passing South Over Parish Church. St John the Baptist, as you can see. I won't go in today. So there is Anna Cleeve's house with its museum. Free entry in there for those that are interested. Passing the Swan Inn, local brewery, Harvey's. Just walking past the old forge, which is to the rear of the pub. Now joining Jugs Road to hit the South Downs Way. Okay, now as we move away from the urban section, hopefully, got a crossing of the A27 shortly, and thereafter should be more peaceful. So there we go, downs in the distance, A27 down below, and I do remember this walk very well for some strange reason. Must have done an element of it more recently perhaps. Trees on the embankment are bedding in better than when I was here 12 years ago. Getting away from the road noise now as we ascend, and this tree cover is very welcome, nice and cool in here. Talking of heights and ascending, got a height range today of 16 foot to 606, so quite a range. 16 foot being in Lewes, right down low. Right, those that need to know should observe there's some kind of change going on here. And there's the details. As I've said in the past, they really need to get a nationwide sat-nav type map organised at the very top level, so that notifications like this are not only put out in the field but also live onto a sat-nav for footpaths. They can do it with traffic, so they should be able to do it with footpaths, bridleways, etc. It's just annoying when you do a 2.5 hour train ride to find paths closed only when you get there. That isn't the case today, but it has happened. So I've suggested that to DEFRA. No response again. And I will suggest it to the Ramblers. Yeah, I now recall this. This was a walk I used to offer on Downlanders when I was taking people on walks around the South Downs and North Downs. So I have done it probably around 2012, 2013 time, more recently than when I recorded it. But in any case, yeah, I do remember this walk. And if I remember correctly, there are some cattle, or certainly were back then, en route, as you'd expect on the South Downs, I suppose. There's the V-shaped path referred to in the text, which I'm currently using. We take the left version, if I recall, go along the ridge top. There's the old windmill that I recall. Don't know if that's got a name, it's not mentioned in the notes. And from another angle, passing by another GR postbox as we walk through the hamlet of Kingston, leaving the track behind me now. This particular path here has the potential to be very muddy, as I can vouch from experience, but no chance of that today. As I ascend now, looking back whence I've come, cracking vista. So about 466 foot up here, so further ascent to come. 2 3/4 miles back to Lewes. And a sprinkling of people out up here as well. Schools are back, so not sure who these are. Home workers. Cracking view on my left across the plain. Bit hazy at the minute, not all the cloud has yet been burnt off. Looking back towards Lewes from a point around a third in, i.e. about 3.5 miles in now. Still sultry. Sea now comes into view as I follow a concrete track for around a mile. Still on the South Downs way. There you go. Yeah, looks like some cereal crop was grown here recently. A lot more of that going on in the South Downs these days. As the climate warms up a bit, 500 foot up here becomes more feasible. Machinery also enables it. Well, there you go. There's the first herd of bullocks today. Very close to where I need to get out of this field as well. Yeah, they were okay. Give them a wide berth. Youngsters with a couple of adults in there. Yep, I remember this distinctly now. So I'm stood in the Western Hemisphere at the minute, and in a second I'll be in the Eastern Hemisphere, as you can see. That's the Eastern Hemisphere over there. Looking back whence I've come, okay, we're at Mill Hill here. If you're missing Rodmell for lunch, you continue on the South Downs way, which is clearly marked here. Otherwise, follow the sign for the pub, Rodmell Village, half a mile. Down this way. Nice tranquil lane walking now into Rodmell, and hopefully I'll be having my lunch at the same church I had my lunch at recently when I did the Southease walk, when I had an early lunch that day. Heard the cuckoo for the first time this year, so likely back in April. So passing the recommended lunchtime stop, the Abergavenny Arms. So there is Monk's house again, former home of Virginia Woolf, filmed on the Southease walk. Yep. Wonderful little church this. So 1:45, just over 6 mile in, and I'm back at this lovely church for my lunch. Didn't think I'd be back so soon, but there you go. Now you may be able to hear some organ music in the background. So I've got a lovely accompaniment for lunch. And some dripping water here as well. Let's get tucked in. 2:30, lunch has been had. And this is Virginia Woolf's garden, or what was her garden. The garden to Monk's house. Lovely, look at the views in the distance there. Lovely location. And best I can, the rear of the church. Sun's against me here. Let's have a little nose inside, because I don't think I did that last time. An interesting list of people in the garden arrest here. Going up to the early 90s. So this is St. Peter's, Rodmell. So as you can hear in the background, the organ player is still practicing. Not quite in Dave Greenfield's league, but not a bad rendition. God rest his soul. Dave Greenfield, of course, dying during COVID from heart issues. Very nice LED lights here. Now there is said organ player. So there's the view towards the radio masts, past the youth hostel that I took a couple of months back as well. No sun coming through, it's actually getting cloudier, I'd say. What lovely little flowers out at this time of year. Almost like little crocuses. So a parting shot of the church tower with a buzzard in the background I noticed there. Spiralling. Right, onwards and upwards. Some church cottages just immediately outside the Lich Gate. So what I'm going to do here, because I've come from the church and not the pub, is take this lane called Barleyfield. It's a circular lane, and up here on the left is a footpath that will eventually bring me to Northease Manor. Certainly some very pleasant properties in this crescent. So by this bungalow on the corner there's a finger post here, which is the way towards Northease Manor, and there we are, back on track. So if you're having a picnic at the church like I did, that's the way to do it. Just ignore the instructions for a brief period. And there is Lewes with its castle that I briefly highlighted earlier. And at this juncture, that is where the way you would have come had you come from the pub. Don't go straight on if you're doing what I'm doing, but join up with the GPX track now, albeit there isn't one, What I meant was the instructions. Take a right here towards the downs. People hang gliding up there on the near the TV mast. And over there in the distance is the windmill I filmed earlier, so you'll get some idea of where we're at. I'm following the original route that I did in 2011 by following this lower via Northease version, albeit that there's a busy road on my left, I notice. Okay, at this finger post got an interesting situation, because the notes still tell you to cross the busy road over there and follow that for a distance. But I do remember from the Southeast walk, which I did quite recently, that I noticed this footpath here, which is a licensed footpath but not on the map, I notice, runs parallel to the busy road version. So I'm going to chance my arm and follow it and see if it brings me out at Northease Manor as well. And then other walkers will know the answer at my expense, probably. Decent views back. Still very hazy. Sun just hasn't burnt the cloud off today. Quite humid down here at ground level, around 30 degrees now. So as you can see, it's called a licensed footpath. That's a new one on me. I'll have to research what that means. Possibly like permissive. Some donkeys ahead of us. They're also new ones on me. Never walked through a field with them in before, I don't think. And I notice this is called Lenny's Path. Yep, they don't like humans, so I got through there safely enough. They are following me now though. Typical. Maintained by the Monday group I've encountered in the past, particularly in this area, East Sussex. A little bit of information about them there. So we're now back on the GMT trail. So we're opposite Northease Farm there, beside the busy road that you don't have to walk alongside and even more, because I've just discovered that for you. Our onward journey now is clear across this field towards those farm buildings ahead, having just come over that Monday group stile. Looks like an old pillbox out there, still preserved in this field of cereal. And that is this morning, or not this morning, but the early part of this afternoon's walk. Rubbish collection, very good idea, next to this orchard, and those apples look tempting. That's a lovely idea. Lived to be a good age. Didn't make the turn of the century though, unfortunately. There is his hedge. Predominantly hawthorn. Out in full berry now, look. So once again, it seems there is a recently surfaced alternative to the official GMT path that I've just followed across a rough field. Views back of this morning's ridge walk. As I say, this path has been massively improved, it would appear, in recent years. Certainly wasn't like this as I recall back in the day. So here's the concrete drain cover mentioned in the notes, but to be honest with you, the notes really do need updating. This version of the walk clearly hasn't been updated since it was originally written, by the looks of it. So as you can see here now, Lewes, a mile and 3/4 away. Small sewage farm here on my right, which hums pretty badly today. Nice humid day, what more could you want for sewerage? Got a couple of options here to Lewes. Mine, I believe, is straight ahead where those people are ahead of me, and at the hedge I do a right, my understanding. Yeah, this section with the ditch on your left, 40 metres under the pylons there. You certainly need long trousers, lots of thistles and stinging nettles here. Well, it says here that the footpath is closed after all that. Cockshut stream restoration. Certainly no heavy plant, nobody down here at all. So I might chance my arm. Well, it was a bit of a rigmarole getting out at the end, but I managed it. But clearly that part of the path isn't open at the moment, officially. Still on the GMT trail going under the A27. Passing Southdown Sports Club on my right here. Priory Park next to it. And we are actually going to walk through Priory Park, the Priory of St. Pancras. So you can Google that for more information. Information panel here about the Priory, which again you can Google to learn more. There are the remnants. Information panel about the kitchen garden, which would have been just here, so they've left a little bit of it. Interesting tower here as well. There's a monument there in the shape of a knight's helmet to commemorate 700 years since the Battle of Lewes in 1264. Passing Lewes Football Club here, next home fixture against Folkestone. That's the men at least anyway. Women are playing Birmingham. Lewes are quite strong in the Women's League, I understand. Almost back at the station, with the castle over there on my left. So here we are, 9.8 miles, 4 hours later, including trying to escape from that locked off area. Lucky to get out of there with no serious injuries, to be honest, but hey-ho. Decent walk, happy memories there. Some of it I recognise from recent Southease walk. Weather was okay, very humid, quite oppressive, but you know, let's make the most of this Indian summer, that's what it's all about. So that's book 2, walk 26, rewalked, after 12 years, and very decent it was. I did it in January in 2011, so very different conditions then. So that's it, till the next time. And there aren't any train strikes forecast at the moment, so it should be pretty smooth going now for a couple of weeks at least. Let's see. Till the next time.